film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.
Coming at you from the mean streets of St. Louis, from a basement on South Broadway, the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Because indie film still continues to suck.
It sucks.
Okay, ask it.
What's your sock, Greg?
You motherfucker. All right, Greg, what's your suck? Start off with
Man.
you. Usually you guys just go off my suck and go, yeah, Brock, well, that does
Exactly.
suck.
So you looked at
that
me.
reminds me of the time it sucked for me real bad.
You gave me the evil eye.
Yeah.
What do you got, Chris?
Man, what was my last suck? The time?
Yeah, wow.
The whole podcast.
The whole podcast went off on that one.
Podcast sucked.
It was a good one, but...
Yeah. My suck is lack of money for pretty much everything. You know, lack of money for our podcast. Lack of money for our wonderful studio. Money just greases the wheels of so many things. You can do everything yourself. You can write, direct, edit, act. You can do it all yourself. But man, when you have just enough cash to pay people, my God, it just makes it so much easier. And that's the grind of indie film. And when you start out, almost everyone starts out with no money, and they're just doing it because they love it, because it's fun, and it is. Man, you just don't realize how goddamn hard it is not having the resources. It's so much easier when you can just throw $1,000 at a location as opposed to begging and pleading.
Yeah, we've done both.
Yeah,
Very
not
true.
above either.
Very true. What do you got, Brock?
I'm thinking about something that doesn't suck.
Okay.
Our intro rocks, man.
No, it is. It's really
Tommy
really good.
killed it, dude.
Yeah, no, he nailed it.
Indie film sucks. My son was walking through the house.
Singing it?
It's catchy
Yeah,
shit.
I was talking to him about it. He goes, Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah. I was like, that's awesome. My wife thought it was me singing. I
Really?
was like, I can't sing that well.
Just full disclosure, I wrote that, and then I texted. Yeah, it's like 4 lines. I
was gonna say
I texted at the time. My friend Tommy, I've known him for 30 years. He's a musician. He's a graphic designer. He's designed all of our posters, I think, except for Amphetamine. Real talented dude. His old band was called Dumb Luck, and that is in the Gregaverse, or the 88mm verse, that is our beer.
Yeah.
Almost every movie has Dumb Luck beer. It's all based on his old band stickers, which look like a fucking beer bottle. It looked like a beer label.
Looks good.
And I'm like, dude, that looks like a label on a beer bottle. And so that's where Dumb Luck beer comes from.
No, it is. Brock, you're right. It is so catchy.
It's catchy,
It is.
man.
It's
It's
a good
catchy.
song.
So if you find yourself singing it, blame Greg and Tommy.
Yeah.
But good job, Tommy. Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's really good. My suck. You're right, Brock. I'm gonna go money, but it's not about the money like for production and stuff.
Do you have an original thought in your fucking head?
I do, and you'll hear it a little bit later. You'll hear it just in a little bit after you speak.
He always goes last with the sucks.
Because I'm smart.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
And I wasn't thinking of this until he said it, but it's the nickel and diamond for everything else for film, right? I got when we raised money for the film. I got what that was going to go to, and we got what we got. But it's everything else. How much is the new phone we're going to buy? $40.
Yeah.
What else? We just picked up a new mic. That was
Yeah.
something else. You know, it's all that little stuff that, man, it's that little small money that's just constantly and managing the bank accounts and, you know, trying to keep everything square for the accountant and, you know, everything else is just,
Well,
anyway.
wait till we send it to festivals. Every festival, unless you can get them to waive it, they want a fee.
Right. Yeah, and there's a little way of bankrolling, and they got to make a profit. I get it all, but, you know.
Yeah, it still sucks when you spend $50, $75 and you get that rejection email. What's even worse is when you spend that $50, $75, $100, whatever, and you don't even hear back from the festival.
Right. Oh my God, I didn't know that happened.
Oh yeah, happened plenty. It's like, wow, what did I give you $75 for? You at least could have said, wow, sorry, you suck.
That's all.
It's
That's all I
grim.
got.
It's all grim.
That's all I got.
Greg, why don't you tell us why we came up with Red Night at Skies?
Okay, we've talked about this a little bit before, how we wanted to have an action horror film. We wanted to have essentially one location, We wanted to have a name actor. We wanted a sellable genre. All this came in the wake of COVID and Cruiser, our boxing film, falling apart. The next film I wrote, because Brock's been my business partner for, 11 years now. Cruiser was the first 88mm film that you were the star. You've always been supporting cast and everything else. My first thought was, when Cruiser fell apart, whatever we do next, it's got to be another vehicle for this guy right here. It's got to be another vehicle for Brock. That was my goal in mind. Okay, whatever the hell I'm writing, it's going to be another starring role for Brock, because it's like we put all that effort into Cruiser. You trained to be a fighter, a legit fighter for 2 years, and then for that just to be gone. We can't just pivot to something else entirely different. Like, we can't make another mockumentary. It's got to be a similar-ish story and a similar-ish character. So that's what drove me in writing Red Knight. You're welcome.
Oh, Chris. No, thanks, man. I appreciate that for real. I really do.
No, it was the right script at the right time, and it had to star Brock.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
We went into production on that in October of 2021.
We tried a year before then, though.
Yeah, we did try a year before.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
COVID shut that down.
Yeah.
We were going to go into production sometime in 2020. And I'm glad it got delayed for multiple reasons.
No, again, we seem to do things right, and the world just seems to kind of give us that break. It really does. I think we would have made a major mistake going into.
Oh, I know
that.
we would have.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough money in place, and the script needed more work.
And we didn't have Bill on board 100%.
No, we didn't.
But I also think we were drowning in the rules SAG were putting on us too.
Oh yeah, the COVID rules were killing us, because we were trying to make it work, and it's like, this is adding $10,000 here, and this is adding $15,000 there, and it's like, man, these costs are just adding up. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. It's like, we're already spending this much money, and now we're piling more costs on top of that. Man, we got to wait.
Yeah, we couldn't come up with the extra production money during COVID.
And it wasn't like $5,000 or $10,000. It was getting to be $30,000 and $50,000 by
Oh yeah, and just money that was necessary for the protections and the protocols and all that, but it wasn't adding shit to the production. It's not like we're adding $50,000 worth of production value.
Exactly.
We're just adding cost. So we had to wait.
Yeah.
There's no return on that money.
No, nothing. It wasn't going to give us anything. I mean, it was following all the rules and all the SAG guidelines and all the COVID protocols, but it wasn't adding like another cast member. It wasn't adding more to the camera department. It wasn't adding shit. So it's like, why are we doing this?
Yep.
So
we shut that shit down.
Yeah, we shut it down.
The excitability of making the movie didn't outweigh the practicality of not making it, right?
Look at that as a business.
Yeah. Right. My original thought of the night right there, buddy. So you can write that down. Because excitability of making the movie did not outweigh the practicality of not making the movie.
The downside of that was we almost lost our DP.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, that
because of scheduling conflicts. Yeah,
that's right.
Because we had him locked in for this time to this time, and we had to push it for a year, and we almost didn't get him because he had another commitment, a big commitment. It was like shooting for a documentary. I don't remember what it was exactly, or a network shoot, but it was a big deal, and I was going to let him out of it because when we started up again, we had a long conversation, and he said, "All right, Greg, let me ask you this: if I don't shoot this film, will you be able to make this film?" And I said, "Do you want the honest answer, or do you want the answer that will make me feel better telling you?" He's like, "Give me the truth." I said, "No, if you don't shoot it, Eric, we're fucked." And I told him, and I hate to say this because I don't want to take money out of your pocket because you had a shooting gig. If you don't shoot it, I don't know who we're going to get, because we needed a veteran DP who understood shooting at this independent level and could stretch every dollar like it was made out of rubber. And we couldn't use a fresh-faced kid because it wouldn't have worked. And let me tell you, the director and director of photography relationship is critical on any film. And I've worked with DPs before who were very talented, but we didn't see eye to eye. And the film, it doesn't work. You have to be joined at the hip. You have to think almost exactly the same.
You have a shorthand with Eric.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I knew Stanzi from things he had done before and through your relationship with him, but I didn't understand until I saw the final product and even going through the process that Stanzi was the right guy that we needed him.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand the film with the way it had to be shot and then the budget we were on and all that coming together. That was so key. And I honestly, I was like, why, right? Well, we're doing this, and I think I even questioned you guys several times. I'm going, well, what do you mean we're not going to do this? We'll just get somebody else, or we'll do something else, or and you're like, no, I'm holding tight on Stanzi, and we have to do it here. It doesn't get made. And I'm just like, okay, eventually I have to come around to the team and understand that. But holy cow, I didn't get that dynamic, and now I do.
Yeah, I mean, a good director of photography, a good cinematographer doesn't give two shits about gear. He doesn't give a shit about, the fanciest lights and the fanciest camera. A good cinematographer can make do with practically nothing and make it look spectacular. I'm not saying that just because you use $10,000 lights and $50,000, $100,000 cameras that you're a lesser cinematographer. I'm saying that a good indie thinking DP can work with very little and can pull it off. And Stanzi did that in a spectacular fashion.
Yeah, so we got him on board for the second time around.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we couldn't start that movie a year before because we actually really weren't ready.
No, we weren't.
I mean, I think the context that I made with just calling people to try to find out who could be a COVID officer for us, it was a great time for us as far as like the time we needed.
The one thing that gave me fits throughout the entire waiting period was this one location in particular. Because, okay, the movie's called Red Night at Skye, which takes place by and large in Skye's Pawn Shop. Skye's Pawn Shop was written to be one location. It's got some very specific things, but it could not be one location. Because in a Hollywood film, you can just build a set, right? In Fight Club, that house that Tyler Durden lived in, they built that. That wasn't a real house. That was a set. The specific things that I didn't think we could find, we found them all and put them together into one thing. But this whole time, I am sweating bullets that we're going to lose this gallery location. It was a non-functioning art gallery and event space that had been closed for like a year.
It's perfect.
It was perfect. and the whole time, man, I am just thinking, I'm going to get any day now. I'm going to call this. I'd call them like once every month or two. Hey, we're still going forward and, this such and such date. Oh, okay, great. And I was just expecting any time when I made that call that I'm going to hear, oh, yeah, sorry, we sold the building, or
we did something else with it.
It's new management, and, we wouldn't have it. So, man, when we finally got to shoot in this location, it was such a relief when we were done with it.
That building whoever the building manager that went and met me that day.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was showing up because I was sitting there. I think I texted you and I was just like, man, I'm sitting under the coldest dude's touch. But then when I got there, he gives me the key and he's just like, here you go. Yep. Just call me when you're done. He gave me how many keys you need. I was like,
that
2.
Location had bathrooms, plural.
It was warm.
Good lighting, heat, water. Upstairs, downstairs, everything you needed.
Lots of space where people could spread out. And we could set up food, and it was great.
And thank God for that space, because there were times when I definitely needed it on set, being producer and actor on that movie. And we get into that in a little bit. But man, you got to have your own little space every now and then to get where you need to be.
No, that's just, you brought back a lot of memories
on
that one. And I'm just like, man, what's this guy going to say to me? What is he going to make me signing nothing? Hands me a couple keys. He's like, yeah, when you're done, just do this with them.
Yeah, cool. I don't even think he looked at our insurance certification.
I had the whole envelope. I mean, I had the whole packet ready to go for this dude, and this dude's just like,
for it.
He didn't know me from Adam.
And on indie films, you meet those people. I mean, because we've talked about the suck quite a bit. About locations falling out from under you and getting pulled and people freaking out. But on the other hand, you meet people who are like, yeah, whatever, burn the place down, I don't give a shit.
Right.
You don't get that on a bigger budget film. People have their hand out because they expect to be paid. Like, you go to L.A., everything costs, God knows how much money to rent it. In a smaller Midwest market, people think, yeah, movies, that's cool. Yeah, sure, you can use my place. You can use whatever. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Wreck the car. I don't give a shit. I've met those people, and that's awesome.
But even our crew, as much as they gave, Kathleen on our wardrobe, just the time she gave and the things she brought together and the things she was able to pull together. I mean, underpaid for sure on some of this stuff. But talking about that, it's just not locations and that kind of stuff, but you do just meet these people that just want the project to succeed. It's awesome.
And you know, every filmmaker I've ever heard, they talk about, oh, my wonderful cast and crew, and you know what? Those things are usually true. An independent film, a true independent film. I mean, a studio film, yes, but a true independent film, it definitely becomes a family, and people have to pull more than their weight, and people have to wear more than one hat, and people have to step up, and the people who can't do that, they bail out quick. They sort themselves out really fast.
I think they get in over their heads, or they didn't realize what it was going to be about, right? Because maybe they've never done any film before. You got the people that have never done it before that love it and are all in. Then you get the people that have never done it before and they're like, not for me, because they're not getting paid, or they're not getting this, or there's long hours.
The good thing about the cast and crew from Red Night when we started shooting and the previous year when we were going to shoot, most everybody was the same. We did lose a cast member or two. We did lose a crew member or two. But for the most part, everybody stuck with us throughout that year because we kept letting them know we're still planning on going forward. We just have to wait for the COVID thing to die down a little bit before we can get really rocking and rolling on this.
Yeah, we were able to keep all locations too, for most part. Talk about finding the perfect location with the one element we needed in the movie.
So we needed a trapdoor.
There you go.
And we thought, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Evil Dead. So the cabin in Evil Dead, the trapdoor leads down to the basement. That was only like 3 or 4 feet deep, right? That was a different set. So we thought we're going to have to build this whole other false floor because we're not going to be able to find a place that has that element. And Brock and I happened to be talking to the owner of one of the locations, and we're just kind of saying, yeah, we need to find a place with a trap door, but that doesn't exist. He's like, oh, well, I've got one of those. I'm like, what? We had to move about 2,000 pounds of transmissions and engine blocks off of it, and I smashed Brock's finger when we were doing it, but we found it, and it worked. It worked great.
Yeah, the location it is actually the pawn shop. Had the trap door we needed to have in a fucking pawn shop.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
It's not. Well, you gotta. I mean, I think you gotta talk to people about what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't mention that to him, right? We probably. I mean, who knows what we would have said.
I wrote this script with that element, knowing that this is going to be a pain in the ass. That we're probably not going to find it. We're going to have to build it.
Right.
But I kept it in there anyways.
Right.
And it just so happens that it worked out perfectly.
No, that was pretty key for us. I wish we could publish a book on the text messages when we were looking for locations.
Oh fuck!
Because that and finding the trailer.
Yeah,
which it's yeah.
I mean, think about it. We live in Missouri. Lived in Missouri. I think we've all lived in Missouri for our whole lives. It's the Midwest. There's lots of trailer parks. We could not, for love or money, find a fucking trailer or a trailer park. We went through so much grief trying to find this one location, this key location.
We thought it would be the easiest one to get.
Yeah,
we did.
We thought, oh, we'll get that, no problem, no sweat.
Yeah.
And it was almost down to the wire when it turns out where I grew up in Imperial, Missouri, it was a trailer that I hung out in when I was 16 years old. It was a friend of mine, his grandmother used to live in this place, and he used to live with his grandma. So we were kids, and we were, teenagers, and I remember hanging out there, listening to Black Sabbath, and puking in the back bedroom from drinking beer. And it was a trip to be in there, like many, many, many years later, making a movie.
Yeah.
The puke was still in the back room.
That's true.
Yeah, but
it's covered in mouse turds, though.
But that location, right? We got to use the porch or the backyard of the house up the road.
Yeah.
For a scene, and we could pull Bill's trailer on there. It was like nobody was coming to bother us because we had our own gate to get in there. I mean, it was like unbelievable how we just backwards into that. We didn't backwards into it. We just kept asking people, and all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, I got this one. This is all. God, it worked out
it's
so
a closed set because it's a gated trailer community.
Yeah, it worked out so freaking well.
It just so happened to my friend Sean, who lives on the property. He also does scrapping as a side job, so he was able to get us so much free production design stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was good to have.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. He was, oh, you need this? I can get you this. You need that? I can get you that. You need old monitors, old TVs, old pawn shop sign. I can get you that.
Yep,
And
yep.
he came through with all this stuff.
I know. That's when you call me, like,
Yeah.
Maggie, we gotta take your car. We're going to pick up some stuff.
We
for
gotta
the
go
pawn
pick
shop.
up some junk for the pawn shop.
That's what nobody tells you.
He is one of the guys that showed up with the hammers and nails to build that damn clubhouse.
Yeah.
So hey, talk about a little bit about the tight production schedule. Like how many days we shoot this in? I was trying to think back. We got 2 4-day blocks. And
We shot this in 16 days, which was complete insanity. And I'll tell you this. I think only 1 or 2 days were super long, like 18-hour days.
Right.
Almost all of it was done within a 10 or 12-hour
yeah, like
time frame.
what you would think on a normal set.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that speaks to the skill of the crew and the cast busting ass.
Yeah, so we really planned out and stuffed as much as we could in those days.
Because honestly, we needed double that.
Yeah,
No,
easily.
Right, but I mean, we knew that going in, and that's what we always say is add more days, you add more money, you add more time, right?
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
just
we
kind
just
of
didn't have that
multiplies.
budget.
Yeah.
No, every day you add is more money.
And that's basically how we had to do it, knowing what we were raising for this film. We took the amount of money, divided by the amount of days. This is what we can afford. This is what we can do, minus our talent. I love the way we kind of worked all that out on that tight schedule, understanding you're going to have some long days.
And, I've done the 22, 23, 24-hour shoots. I've done that. I did not want to do that this time.
You know what, though? I think the way the rest of it went is prepared as I thought we were. You could plan for contingencies, which we had to. Of course, everybody does. The day was raining, just different things like that. But B, I think that as well as some of the other days went, I think people were wondering where the long days were going to come from. So,
That's
you know what I
true.
mean?
Things are going pretty smooth.
Exactly. And when you did have a long day, it wasn't too much of an ask.
We really only had a couple of super hard days where things went a little haywire. One is it's in a biker house where we had an effect shot, and man, it's like someone gets stabbed and blood is supposed to squirt. And so I'm talking to our effects guy, and we put plastic over everything. Like we cover this whole kitchen in plastic. So I'm like, hey man, where is this blood gonna go? And he's like, yeah, I really don't know. I'm like, huh, okay. He's like, I mean, I'm gonna hit the pumps and it's gonna go where it's gonna go. I don't know what to tell you. I'd be lying if I told you I knew what it was gonna do. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then call action and it hits the blood pumps and it goes everywhere but the plastic.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like all over the ceiling and the wall. I'm just kind of looking at it like, oh.
And somebody lives
Fuck.
in this house.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this guy was waiting for us to leave. Yeah. He'd done his time. He was very nice.
And I was just at like for a good couple seconds, I'm just standing there in stupefied disbelief, like, wow, this did not go anywhere I thought it was going to go. There's just blood everywhere, and we got to clean this shit up.
Yeah, you
And
got to stop everything.
I thought we was have to buy paint, do all this shit the next day.
Yep.
And we didn't have it the next day. We
Yeah.
move on.
No, that's a great
Luckily
example of we borrowed something we borrowed this guy's house.
Yeah.
We've already probably overstayed our welcome.
Yes.
He was a saint. He was very patient.
Well, he
with
had to
us.
get up and work in the
Yeah,
morning.
exactly. And we got to get the shots right, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, bam! And what was it, an hour delay? I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, and then we had extras who we held back, who they're biker
Oh my
extras
God.
who were waiting, and they're like, they're not film people, so they're antsy, they want to go, and it was grim.
No, I don't think anybody we're talking to out there on the podcast world they've probably experienced everything we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But
They all still enjoyed it for the most part. I think all the bikers I'd spoken to, and we really got lucky getting all those bikers. I
We
mean,
did.
Everything was just perfect. We had enough room for all. We could have had 200 if we wanted to, but I had to tell them because they were going to bring the whole damn
oh my
crew.
God, we
I said,
barely
"No, we don't-
control
we-
the people we had out there.
I think what do we have? 30, 40, maybe or so.
We had
bikers.
something like that. We had a ton of bikers, and there was, you're right, there was no real controlling them.
No.
Yeah,
No, they
they
were going to do what they were going to do because you had a wedding the night before and all the beer was still left over.
Yeah, so what happened is we had a wedding on our property the night before. There's an outside wedding, and there's a great big tent, and there's like a big trough of beer left over from the night. So I just talked to the people who had gotten married, and I said, hey, I'll buy the rest of this beer from you if you don't mind just leaving it here. They're like, okay. because they were just gonna keep it or drink it, whatever.
Yeah.
So gave them a couple $100 for all this beer, and they let us use where the reception area was under this great big tent as a staging area. It was perfect. So they had tables set out and chairs, so bikers had a good time.
Yeah, and it was on us to shoot before,
Yeah.
before they got too out of control.
I think after we wrapped up at the end of the night, me and you walked down there and drank a couple of beers.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a hard ass night with that blood and all that shit. That was rough.
We did.
Yeah.
We had a few beers.
Yeah.
But when you're shooting on that tight of a schedule, it's like you have to stay until that's because there's no either A, we're not getting the house again. So what do you
Yeah.
do now? Or B, it's like you can't come back to that location because either everybody's already got other days scheduled. We just can't. It's very tough shooting on the schedule like that.
It is.
It's crazy.
And the other thing, at this level, the key production people, the director and the key producers, you got to be first one on set and the last one to leave. And any kind of bullshit, any kind of cleaning up, trash or whatever, that's got to be on you. It's not like, you're George Lucas and you show up like a king and you make your proclamations and then you leave. It's like, no.
No, we had great PAs though.
We did.
And learning how to delegate some of that responsibility to them because that's what they do.
Oh yeah, I mean
Right.
that's a very
Yeah.
important thing. That's something I've learned over the years is to delegate. You have to delegate. You cannot do everything. It's simple things like crew eats first. On every film set I've ever been on as a director, meaning me, eats last. I'll eat cold pizza. I want everyone else to be taken care of before me because it's my vision or whatever. But I mean that's how it has to be. Is you got to be the first one there and the last one to leave. And if anything sucks, you got to be the first one to take that suck.
Yeah, if we mismanage our lunch a little bit and there's not enough, I know, like we did that one day a little bit, and you and I didn't have a whole lot to eat, but I think
Yeah.
you went and Mackie went out and got some more food.
Well, it's just a matter of managing and timing the lunches out and
Yeah.
figuring out what production schedule you guys are on as opposed to where we said we were going to be on. It's just a lot of pieces that go into it, and especially when, again, you're shooting on such a tight schedule, which I'm impressed with, that we were able to get this movie done.
We had a handful of locations. I know primarily we had the two,
Right.
but we did also have a few smaller locations. We got to jump around from different pawn shops,
Yeah.
the restaurant, and so we did do some jumping around. It's not like we did all 16 days in one location where the cameras. in
No.
one spot.
That would have been great, but no.
Yeah.
No, but I will say we got lucky on this one because we did get to go in on pre-setup days, which normally we don't have. Right, Stanzi was able to get in there early
to light it.
and pre-set up his lighting,
Right.
which saved us some
Well,
time.
that was because he's a veteran, so that was his insistence. He's like, okay, 100% I want to do this, but you got to give me at minimum 2 days to pre-light.
Yep. So with having the keys, I just give him a key, and
Yeah.
he's like, just go on in and do it. And I think when he came up to me, and he's just real timid, he's just like, hey, Chris, I know we didn't talk about these pre-setup days, but he goes, you think production can cover the lunches for this? I was like, yeah, Eric, absolutely. You saved us hours
And
of
that's
time and days. But we're just being so humble about.
that is the amazing thing about Stanzi, because the guy is incredibly accomplished, and he's been doing this for many years, a good decade longer than I've been doing it, and he is just the most humble guy you're ever going to meet.
But I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that Gregor wrote that part for me. I'm glad I was able to produce it, and I'm glad you came on board with Cruiser and decided to stick with us, and now
Oh,
part,
yeah.
part of 88 millimeter now too, because it really takes the three of us to really get it done. We still had to delegate and find other people to help us out throughout the whole journey, man.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole crew and that whole cast. I mean, they stepped up. I'm proud of it. I know everybody, if they're independent film, talks, is everybody at heart, and this and that, and it's true. It really is. You get people with a lot of heart, and they share your vision, and they don't mind the 18 hours as long as it's not every damn day.
Yeah.
Right.
They know this. They're working to make something really cool, to be a part of something bigger than just them for the day.
And I think people they can tell when they're on a good set, when there's a good vibe, and people care about what they're making. That it's not, we're not just doing this. We're not just cranking out a turd to make a couple bucks.
Yeah, and I think we did a good job explaining to them of where we're going to go with the film before they got on board and what this film was all about and the formula we put together. And we keep talking about the formula. We'll dive into that a little bit more in another episode. But I'm excited about continuing to talk about this
Right.
this movie, Red Night at Skies. I don't know. We can talk about anything else?
Yeah, I know what we're going to talk about.
What's that, Chris?
We're going to talk about the highs, the lows, and the in-betweens of true independent filmmaking on the Indie Film Sucks podcast, brought to you by 88mm Productions, other words, us. And, you know, it's on all the social shit stuff. Facebook, Spotify.
Like and share.
Smash that like button.
Peace.
All right, Indie Film Sucks.
Indie film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.